Hi, Erica. How you doing today?
I'm good, thank you. Such a pleasure.
The pleasure is mine, I assure you. Earlier today, I was catching up on season one of Run the World, and you
Come
have the
on.
best lines. To me, you are the funniest character. I was cracking up when y'all were at a bar, and the bartender goes, "Yeah, I named this one Back That Butt Up," and you go, "And that's a good thing. Someone save our girls." And then you sip the drink. I laughed out
She was.
loud.
I'm glad you mentioned that. 'Cause there's a thing that Barb does that I need to bring back. That she would talk aloud to nobody in particular. Yes, I love that.
Yeah, someone
Thank
save
you.
our
Thank you for
girls.
watching season one. I love it.
Yes, that was a good one. And we'll get into some predictions for season two, but definitely want to start with season one when y'all
Okay.
go to a karaoke bar. And ironically, I just went with some friends a couple of weeks ago. So I have a loaded question, which is what
Yes.
is your go to song to sing at karaoke?
Um, I love everything Stevie Wonder. So I would probably sing like Golden Lady or Ass,
Mm.
anything Stevie Wonder. But let's just say, probably I'll sing I Will Survive because it really does say something about life and the great Gloria Gaynor is wailing on it. So why not?
That's a great karaoke song, just the vibe and the smoothness of it. Great answer.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
Barb is hanging out with Ella and with her friends who are much younger, yet they have this really strong camaraderie. What
Yes.
about that intergenerational connection do you think interests Barb?
Well, I know that Barb thinks, and I do too, that it's a myth that there's a disconnect between generations, especially in the Black community. That we spend a lot of times with people who are older than us, our elders, and younger. We're all thrown together in the same pot because there's so few of us,
Yeah.
and it makes us have to have conversations. I had conversations with Whoopi Goldberg and Felicia Rashad, and people like Cecily Tyson, and they built me. I feel like
Mm,
if you see me, you're seeing a piece of them. But I also have conversations with young people all the time where I go and I teach master classes or I say hello at HBCUs and we have that conversation. And they teach me. They teach me not only slang, they teach me what's important to them and how they're looking at life. And I get a new energy and a new perspective because sometimes you can get very myopic. And I love that there's generational dialogue and the reciprocity of it and the generosity is important. So that's what I love about this show and also about being in a community of people who connect.
I love what you said about how the younger generation gives you a new, fresh perspective on some things. Do you have a recent example of when you talked to a young person and like a light bulb went off for you based on something they said?
Shoot, I don't know if I have a direct, but you know what? I just did a whole line of debates at HBCUs in North Carolina.
Yeah.
And we're at Bennett College, and we were also at Johnson C. Smith. And some of the things that the young people were fighting for um, in terms of how they wanted to have their school and their matriculation be
Yeah.
was really really inspiring. So it wasn't so much what they said; it's what they were doing and how they were approaching it. And I had to say that I need to remind myself to be bold, not because I don't think I'm living boldly, not boldly, but to take the risks and say, this may ruffle some feathers, but I have something to lose. Let me see, because I almost said what I got to lose. Young people say that. The reason people like me or people older don't do it is because they do have something to lose. They
Right.
think it's their credibility, their reputation, and all those things. And I say that we need to remind ourselves that we need to live a little bit more dangerously sometime, and it's okay.
It's okay to take a dive off the deep end. There's lots of ocean to land in. I love
That's
that.
right. That's right. Barb says that all the time. But in real life, you know that it doesn't always. There can be hard knocks and falls, but for the most part, with all the really good, um, I don't know, love that's built up for you after a while, people will catch you, and you got to believe that too.
Yeah, sure enough. So in the show, you lead a outlet and you're Ella's boss. And I've had black women as bosses before, and there is a clear difference in the execution of tasks, in the communication. I wonder, what do you see as the benefits of black women having other black women as bosses?
Well, I'd love to hear what your experience was, but here's what I can say. When there was a push for people in the suffragette movement, women were asking for the right to work. Black women have been working in America since they got off the boat. That's a fact. We were asking for pay equity and salary and treatment and respect and all these other things. But we were working all the time. And so when you think about the allocation of and the delegation of responsibilities, they've been the generals and sergeants of households and manors and big houses and society for a very long time. And I have no doubt that that's been passed down to us. Because when you get in a room often with Black women, first thing we do is we actually know who in that room we're gonna, okay, that person's running it, and we're gonna treat them with respect, but we're also usually at a certain point gonna speak up.
Yeah.
But we're going to know that that type of feeling and that order and that organization and that long vision is there. But that's because that's who we've had to be to survive and thrive.
What a beautiful answer. Speaking of Black women, your character has a lot of sly comments that put me in the mind of your living single character. What do you see as the similarities between Barb and Max?
They both say what's on their mind. They have not waiting for anybody to give them permission to do anything. They are both highly educated. And I know that Max, of course, was a lawyer, and I don't know exactly where Barb's formal education is, but she's got lots of life education.
Yeah.
She's built something, and she's put herself on the line. She's also a great dresser. They both dress their asses off. Now, Barb is going all over. She's really mixing all sorts of leopard and stuff.
Yeah.
I think that Max is more of a tomboy and, like to roll around in the mud a bit. But they also are very aware of their sensuality and their sexuality, and with no apologies.
Yeah.
They do not, they're not overly sentimental, which is interesting. Again, to have those roles out there and not always have to apologize and make sure you didn't, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean that. No. They're like, that's what it is. Get over it. Bye. I love it.
Period.
Period. Full stop.
That's it.
Shoot.
I'm in an era right now where I've decided I'm not going to be explaining myself. I'm just going to set boundaries and keep it pushing. And it has been a world of difference. Let's keep things going. So the energy you just gave me is what I'm feeling right now in life in general.
You have to be brave. It is because you also have to be okay with the silence, because oftentimes we'll fill it up. We'll reach to do, but that also is a hanging chad or an appendage of having been bound for so long. We always want to make sure that the air is clear and that everything's okay. But it's all right with being okay with not okay.
You sound like my parents. They're both therapists, and they love that refrain, which is really, that's their thing right now.
That's my next role, to be a therapist.
Claim it. So,
I'm claiming it.
I wanted to talk season 2 of Run the World. I know you're limited in how much you can say. It premieres in a couple of weeks now. And I wonder, what should we keep in mind about Barb as season 2 unfolds?
Well, she's a life force. And so that she's also a life coach. She's done it. She's been in it for a while. They are in a state of becoming, what Michelle Obama wrote about. She's writing about her journey. But she's already arrived. She can tell them and be the ghost of Christmas future. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But she's not the nicest ghost in the world. She's annoyed with them. She's frustrated that they're so indecisive, that they talk a lot and don't do enough. She wants them to also be more prepared and earn the right to be in her space. She's not just being invited with them, they're being invited to be with her. So I love that they're having a generational conversation and are at different places, but they're all going to the same place.
And I think the generational aspect is the part I like the most, because we've seen the Quartet of Black Women show before, but I don't know if I've ever seen another generation folded into that main core group. So it comes through the screen very nicely, I might add. You're no stranger.
Thank you, and I'm glad they did it, because otherwise I wouldn't be able to pay my utilities. That's what was on and people please do that.
Yeah. So shifting gears a bit to your living single days, you've been vocal about the show's connection to Friends. And recently, Jennifer Aniston was explaining what she thinks is the most offensive part of Friends, which got Twitter a rumbling. I asked the same question to you. What do you think is the most offensive part of Friends?
I don't think anything about it is offensive. It's actually a fantastic show with a really good cast, and I've enjoyed it on occasion. What I do think is that we have to have a larger conversation about how history is measured and who gets to tell those stories. We can't say that back in the day when that black cast was in that show, including myself, that we had the same amount of branding and promotion and leverage that they were putting on all the other shows in this underneath the same umbrella. It was totally different, and you could see that where the budgets went, where you invest and where you don't invest,
right?
Where you take out. That needs to have not only a conversation but an investigation. Because if we can see it, we don't have to repeat it. We can also know how and why those budgets went that way. It wasn't just because they were saying that we wouldn't sail across seas, which was not true. Black entertainment is American entertainment. It is not only underbelly, it's the foundation of American entertainment.
Yeah.
But what they were saying is that our stories wouldn't. Why? Because RZA once said, the imagination is the biggest nation in the world. If they can keep that part away, then they could tell any story they wanted to about us. And that goes down to even like a George Floyd. A reason why that man thought he could put his knee on his neck is that he'd been told that story over and over, that he could do it, and he could do it with impunity.
Yeah.
That was a horrible thing.
Yeah.
But that's what we were dealing with then. And that's why I said I don't really think about it on any one show. But if you look at shows comparatively, it will tell you a story. And to me, that's the story that we need to be talking about.
Yeah. Do you hold any, resentment or outstanding feelings for Friends doing what Living Single pioneered?
No, not at all, because that's been the case all the time. We created blues, rock and roll, all these American art forms. And many of those people did not get their due in their time or ever. They died without any sort of honorifics. But It's important that we know and we set the record straight, not just for black people in the community, but for the wider American community, so they understand why the largest export in America is entertainment, but also who made it. The 13%, I always say, of African Americans are the most powerful culture makers in world history. We were put here for a purpose, and we're doing it despite the obstacles to tell that story. And so every child, whether they're white, black, or otherwise, can claim it for themselves. They can sing the riffs, they can do the jazz, but they need to also know who their founding fathers and mothers are. Claim it so they can be their full self. To be American is to be diverse in a big pool. And they need to be able to embrace their Irishness, their blackness, their Africanness, all of that. But they also need to know where it came from. And it came from the blood, sweat, and tears of us.
I love what you said about the work that goes into these projects, and then over time, hopefully they'll get the same recognition as other projects. Because I was interviewing Tracy Oliver, and she said, sometimes I feel like, well, why don't I just quit telling black stories? It's too much of an uphill battle. But then I'm reminded of how important this is, and like people will DM me with all of the celebrations, which I'm sure you've gotten as you've played multiple iconic characters. The 30th anniversary of Living Single, I believe, is this August. How are you planning to celebrate? Do we get a reunion? There needs something. What's going on?
I know. I think that the Warner Brothers might be planning a party, so stay tuned. We'll see. We have some things coming up, if not this year, inside of the next year, that might be interesting. So stay tuned for that. I can't say exactly what I know I'm not saying.
Reboot? Reboot?
I can't really say that that's what it is, but stay tuned. You know what I mean? 'Cause I don't want to speak out of turn.
Okay.
The other thing is that when what Tracy Oliver said, we're telling so-called black stories. We're not telling black stories. We're telling our stories. We just have to be black people. And it's not, like I said, dissimilar to any Scottish person, no one ever says, I don't want to tell Scottish stories anymore. I mean, it doesn't make sense. We are everything that they are, but we are always put as the other. And I think a lot of Black people would not have to carry this burden. I would love to go do Yellowstone. I would do a killer Yellowstone series. I could. I'm from Arizona, but they don't hire you to do. They make you go through these doors, and they force you into these positions. And I said, I am Black, and I'm proud to be Black unapologetically.
Yeah.
I'm also from Arizona. I'm also, I'm interested in science. I could do a great science fiction series. We need to start making it not that there's a Black cast and a Black crew.
Right.
Somebody said this. I think somebody else said, we need to make sure that we can go and do those stories, because who've watched those people our whole lives? I can easily have no problem turning my mind to how it is to be in that space. But it is difficult for them to be in our space, but they need to have more practice, but with us steering it.
Yeah, no, the versatility. And personally, I could see you as a sci-fi villain. Just that whole persona, you would crush. I welcome the day.
I'm telling you, Ryan Coogler better come get me for the Black Pantherette.
There you go.
The Black Pantherette.
So
I would kill it. And don't shake my hair off. The Dora Milaje. I would give me what?
I'd say call somebody up.
But I come on. You when it's time, you
I got you. We're going to call this moment back and be like, remember,
let's call it back.
You said it. Okay, so last question. I think I have 4 minutes left, maybe 3. You worked with Cress Williams on Living Single and Black Lightning. I've been rewatching Black Lightning, by the way, and I'm in the Perina episodes. And I think this is the first calming role that you played. The others are like exciting or energy boosting, but this is a very calming role. And I really like that look on you. But that was just a personal aside. The actual question here is, do you have a favorite memory of Crest from either set, Living Single or Black Lightning?
Well, as you see in Black Lightning, I really don't act with him at all. I act more with
China
McClain. So I didn't get a chance to spend that much time with him there. On set, we loved every time he came on. For one thing, he was taller than us, finally. Besides John Hinton, somebody was taller than Latifah and Kim Coles, and we're big girls. When I'm sort of a medium-sized girl, and they're big, and he just looked like he just loved us up, and you know what I mean. He had wide shoulders and had that beautiful smile, and he was just so loving. But he was also very masculine and calming to us. I love that. So I think anytime he came on, it was cool. I of course loved when I think it was an episode where Dana Latifah was dressed as Little Bo Peep.
Yep.
She was drunk at the party. That's hilarious because I think they got to work together very well in that.
I remember that iconically. I also remember when Kyle is serenading Max at the bar after she was like, he can't sing, he ain't doing nothing. And then she literally melts. So
yes, My Funny Valentine.
Yes.
And you know what? I gotta say, people don't know, I was actually very embarrassed. I mean, I was feeling, because look at Latifah, they're just looking at me like this. They're in it. And they're not in it as their characters. They're in it as themselves. You have to know, that's their personality, the way that Dana was looking at us. And so I was performing and having to be, but I was very embarrassed as Erika that I was having to be all sort of gooey.
Ooh, that's a uncovered gem. That's great.
Yeah, I never said that, but I looked at it and realized how embarrassing it was to do that scene in front of them.
It's still one of my favorites. I was rewatching Living Single over the summer, and I think that's the episode I started on. So anyway, nice. Thank you, Erika. You have been a pleasure. I have to go, but can I get like one Max in the house before I dip out?
Absolutely. Max is in the house, baby, always and forever. Love you.
Thank you.